In this video, I want to talk about a phenomenon that you may be familiar with, but it's not really a phenomenon that you can say, oh, there it is. It's something in the social world that occurs over and over again, and people often don't detect it. I'm going to talk about a type of people in this video that you may recognize, maybe even encounter such an individual. Maybe you recognize such individuals from the media or wherever. I'm calling them beta sellouts. I'll explain why I use the term beta. Okay, alpha is considered, in psychological terms, the dominant one. A beta is a more submissive type of personality. So a beta sellout is an individual that does not have any loyalty to anything or anyone, but just cling onto the most violent individual that's around. That's what it comes down to. Okay. There's a lot of flies around here, but okay. So they cling onto the most violent individual around. Why is that? It's because the beta sellout is a psychologically disturbed individual who never experienced stability in their lifetime. I'm talking about psychological stability here. And because of that, they're not comfortable with things staying the same all the time. Now, every human being has a need for adventure, okay? I'm not talking about that. But with a beta sellout, the whole idea of stability angers them. Because they want stability, but they've realized far better than most other people that what the world calls stability is an illusion. People that had some psychological stability, either their parents or family were consistent in a beneficial manner towards them, or they had other people in their early teens that fulfilled that role for them. In any case, they had some consistent, stable pattern that they became attached to. For most people, that's just their upbringing. That's how they were raised by their parents. So common people, they hold on to stable patterns. That's what they do. And this brings them ease in their mind. So it has a good effect on them. Not as a good idea to be stuck at the pattern, but without Christ, the best thing you can have is relief. And extended relief is what worldly people are after. A common individual may turn into a sellout if they can solidify the pattern they're holding on to. Let's say someone grew up in a Republican environment and his parents or her parents treated that individual in a Republican manner. Even though they revolted against the Republican teachings, when they're a bit older, they want something to cling on to, and the best thing they know how to cling on to is the Republican viewpoint. So they may become a political sellout for the Republican Party to vindicate what they're holding on to. Because all sellouts want to vindicate something. Now, common sellouts just want to vindicate some pattern that they hold dear. But the beta sellout is completely different. Let's say you have a female beta sellout. She has father issues and she longed for some form of stability, emotional, mental stability, but she didn't have it. Because of that, she was alert, because she had to be alert while growing up, and because of that, she began to see through the illusions of the world. So she's quite intelligent, she sees through stuff. But because she has this anger inside that people neglected her, she now doesn't want to endorse nor embrace anything. They just want the best high that's available. So she may end up being what they call a gold digger. Not really because she's after money, but because she wants that male stability She wants to experience that male stability she didn't receive from her father. So the man that appears the most strongest or most violent that's around, she'll jump on that man. Even if that man is occupied or if that man is homosexual, because that also happens, she will still cling on to that guy. But then, when another one appears, she's gone just like that. Such females are often used by cults to lure others in. For example, you may see an Instagram page and you see this lady in a beautiful dress showing her legs, looking in a seductive manner into the camera, and you look to her other posts, but then you see a hashtag that belongs to some religious organization. And you think, huh? She belongs to the Jehovah's Witnesses? And you think, whoa, what is this? She's used as bait to get you in. Because female beta sellouts are often used in such manner. They're used as eye candy, as they say in the streets, to attract males. Because using feminine energy helps with attracting males. That's just nature, it works. That's how males are designed. So cults use those female beta sellouts as, I won't say the front women because they don't really have an important role in the organization nor in the cult, but they're used as eye candy to stir the sexual interest of men. And once the men are there, they think they're going to be involved with one of those women. Nope. The men find out sooner or later that they're trapped in a cult. And many of those women aren't even into men. They are into homosexuality, so they are after women. That often happens. You see that on social media a lot. You also, also in movies, they tend to portray this. Remember, the ones that design those movies, they're pagan, so they know how paganism works. A male beta sellout may be a bit harder to detect. However, a male beta sellout is a typical corrupt police officer that abuses his power and kills people just like that. Why? Because he uses his physical strength to compensate for the insecurity he feels inside. That's why he joined the police corps, or that's why he joined the military, so that he can withdraw this fierce male energy from other men. So he's functioning like a female even though he's a male. So he is operating in energetic homosexuality. So his violence on other males often, sometimes on females, but often on other males, is an expression of this energetic homosexuality. He doesn't feel like a man himself. He doesn't. He's very insecure and defect concerning his masculinity, so he wants to withdraw this male intensity from other males, and then he wants to compensate the fact he's withdrawing from other males by dumping on weaker males. So that is a beta sellout also. But that's how it often goes with males. With females, it's often their sexuality they're using as a tool to vindicate this urge to be quote-unquote free. And with males, it's often the case that they want to vindicate their manhood, and what they consider manhood is violence. Now, beta sellouts are people who lacked mental, or let me say psychological stability while growing up. Now, someone can come from an oppressive background and not turn into a beta sellout. So not everyone that has an unstable background automatically turns into a beta sellout. The difference with the beta sellout and another individual that may have survived an oppressive upbringing is that the beta sellout, not only does he or she see through the illusions of the world, they don't want a solution. They just want to benefit from all the confusion that's around. They think it's their right, it's their entitlement to benefit from all the contentions around. So such individuals They may say things like, oh well, at least I'm not harming anyone, at least I'm minding my own business. They will always seek a way to divert attention away from them once someone addresses their conduct. Or the male beta sellouts may lash out to defend their manhood because you violate their boundaries or whatever BS they come up with. The reason I'm talking about beta sellouts is because there's one thing they have in common that a lot of folks will notice. They don't want their own identity. Now, identity is a problematic term already psychologically and especially in anthropology, because identity is really a set of expectations concerning yourself that you're holding on to. That's what an identity is. So if someone is, let me say, born somewhere in the south of Colombia and he belongs to some ethnic group, then during his childhood he developed expectations concerning himself based on his upbringing, and now he's clinging onto those expectations, and him acting in that clinging towards those expectations, that is his identity. That's what identity means to the world. And identity is often symbolized in flags, in symbols, or in codes of behavior. For example, someone may consider themselves to be a gentleman, so they don't behave in a certain way. And because they are against certain types of behavior, they feel that they are a gentleman. So an identity is identification with with expectations concerning oneself. And often those expectations are exclusive. So for your identity to be preserved, you will need to exclude other people. So what you will likely do is you will look for people who are just like you to validate that identity. That's what people do in general. That's why you have groups. That's why cults work, because cults offer you an identity. And with this identity, you get a social support system that helps you, and this brings social context, and the human being craves social interaction. So that's why cults work. Now, common people, and sometimes even believers, they want a stable identity. But beta sellouts don't want an identity, because once you have an identity, you'll have to maintain it. And the beta sellout doesn't want to make any effort. They want an identity to be enforced on them, so the only thing they have to do is act out that identity. They don't want to maintain it. So they don't really have any interests. They don't have any passions. They don't have any likes or dislikes. They are beyond likes and dislikes. It goes like this. If you have a group of revolutionaries that take over a country, normally the people of that country would resist because they think our country is being taken over by revolutionaries. A sellout may decide, you know what? Let me join revolutionaries. Why? Because I have a family to take care of, and I want to be remembered as the husband that provided for his family. So he may sell out to the system to vindicate this identity of him being a good father to his kids. The beta sellout, however, thinks, oh, revolutionaries took over? A revolution. What do they want? Oh, they want that? Then the beta sellout looks at, are they violent enough to get the will done? And once the beta sellout sees they're violent enough, the beta sellout surrenders. Whatever revolutionaries expect of him or her, that's what they do. And a beta sellout is an individual that really wants you to give them an identity. And you need to give it to them over and over again. Because once someone else comes along and provides them with this identity, they'll go over there. So beta sellouts are sadistic in the sense that they submit onto violence because they are comfortable with you forcing an identity on them. Such people are likely to remain and stay in abusive relationships even when they are the victims in that relationship. They will stay to keep the victimization going because then at least they're somebody. Female beta sellouts do this often. And because the world will perceive them as only victims, but the world will not see that they are They're actually perpetrators also because they are keeping the danger alive. And often there are children involved, or even if there are no children involved in the marriage or in the relationship, they are part of the community, so they're endangering the community with this cycle of violence. And she remains in that cycle. She enables victimization towards herself, and with that she's enabling violence in the community. So she's not innocent at all. She knows what's going on. She knows that she needs to leave. She needs to go for safety. She doesn't do it. Why? Because not only does she receive an identity from the abuser as a nobody, she also receives compensation from the community as a victim. People have empathy for her, people have sympathy for her, people want to help her. So she has two identities that she uses as supply. So a bad sellout is what you can call a narcissist, but it goes further than that. They really don't want an own identity. They don't want to be somebody. They are very content with being a nobody as long as they don't have to reflect on themselves. And here's another thing. Female beta sellouts, once they have the upper hand, they will always look for some men around them that enable them. Because they're not operating as females. They're energetically operating as men, even though they're females, so they are dysfunctional. But in that dysfunction, they get relief from using others. So now they want males around them who are far more defective than they are to enable them. And male beta sellouts will gladly support a female beta sellout. And often they cover one another. Now, why am I talking about beta sellouts? It's because those are the type of sellouts you don't recognize immediately they are sellouts. At surface, they may appear like a regular guy or a regular girl or a regular woman or a regular man. But it's when violence occurs that you'll notice that they will adhere to the violence. And when you question them why, they often have no reason, because they really don't have any reason. Beta sellouts are also a type of people. Well, there may be exceptions. They are type of folks that just get along with whatever society throws at them. If tattoos are in, they'll get some tattoos. If it's a new trend that you walk around depressed, they will do it, even though they're not depressed. They will bring depression on themselves just to have an identity by society. Now, every world individual is codependent to some extent, but beta sellouts are completely codependent. And because of that, they are extremely dangerous. A beta sellout can be your quote-unquote friends today, and tomorrow, when there's a lot of angry people coming against you, they'll suddenly switch and they are against you also, and they may even target you to police those other folks. And when those police come and arrest those folks, they will join the police. That's how beta sellouts are. There's a difference between being flexible and being a beta sellout. Being flexible is when you see a situation and you act appropriately in that situation, both for your well-being and the well-being of others. That's being flexible. The beta sellout, however, cares nothing about neither their own nor the safety of others. Of course, they have this basic instinct and want to remain alive. So if there's a dangerous situation, their natural instinct will provoke them and they will get out of the dangerous situation. But in general, they don't care about anyone's well-being, neither their own. They just want an identity to cling on to. And it doesn't matter to them who provides that identity, whether it's an evil spirit or whether it's Christ himself, or whether it's a child molester or a priest, or it doesn't matter as long as they don't have to self-reflect. The postmodern culture we have today is designed for beta sellouts when you look at it carefully, because the consumption society depends on people being codependent. Now, the most codependent people that are around are the beta sellouts. They're the ones that once a brand it becomes dominant, they're all into the brand. They're the ones that when Hollywood portrays women as shopaholics, they'll give in to shopping all the time. They'll even steal and scam other people to get money to shop. They shop for the sake of shopping. If there is a certain fashion style of how women ought to dress, they'll make Instagram accounts in which they dress in that particular way, even if it means dressing in a sexual provoking manner. Not because they want sexual attention, it's just that they do it because they know it will get them attention. Society gave them a identity. You could call better sellouts identity whores, because that's what they are. You have male identity whores as well as female identity whores. Such folks are what they call soulless. Not because they don't have a soul. Of course, a human being is a spirit being with a soul living in a body. So no human being can actually be without a soul. That doesn't exist. But they're souls in a sense that they're like empty shells. They're like robots that you can program. And one more thing, they lack empathy completely. They have, I'm saying like this, the human ability for empathy is there, but they don't function in it. So that's why you can say they have no empathy. Often they have this blank stare. Now look, when someone is shocked, though some traumatic event, they may look a bit static, okay? That's natural. You look a bit static because you're shocked. Or when someone has PTSD, it can prolong over a period of time. But a shocking stare is different than a blank stare. Blank stare is really when there is no life at all. When you speak to such people, it is as if you're not really talking to an individual. It is as if you're, it is like there's some computer that's responding to you. Sometimes the answers they give you are like automatic responses to what you want to hear. Such people are often used by demons as bait. You may have a quote-unquote gentleman that's very kind, very polite towards women, and other women feel comfortable around the guy. But that guy is a better sellout. He's a attention whore. No, what did I say again? Identity whore. He's also an attention whore, but an identity whore. That's what he is. So the demons are now using the image of the gentleman, and the guy adheres to it. So they're using him to draw more women to him. But once those women are there, the demons will use the guy to either deceive the women into false teaching, or those who get sexually involved with him will turn into domestic violence victims. So the beta sellouts, or the identity whores, who are also attention whores, but you get what I'm saying here. They're really the type of folks you should never even think of associating yourself with, because it will cost you. And those are the people, they can turn on you just like that, out of the blue. And when they turn on you just like that, they can even kill you, they can stab you, or they may pick up a chair and throw it at you. They can turn you just like that. So when you recognize someone has these traits, you remain in prayer, you pray on their behalf for their well-being, for their recovery, and all of that. When the Holy Spirit begins to direct you away from that individual, follow the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit will not always tell you why, the Holy Spirit will not always inform you, or the Holy Spirit may not even tell you directly to do something, but the Holy Spirit will begin to lead you away from that individual. When the Holy Spirit does that, follow him. Well, that's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.